You can decide that being bad at money is something that you are, it's coded in your DNA. You can decide that your financial results are your personality and that you are a victim to your circumstances. Or you can decide none of this is fixed. Hi, business owners. Welcome back to the podcast. I am over here in moving mode. We are going to be moving across the country. We're moving from Texas back to California. I am so thrilled. I'm so excited. I'm originally from California, and that's where we're going to be moving back. And there's just so much going on. This is going to be some of the last few episodes that I record in this office, which is just crazy. I'm going to be flying to California to go and get our house. We haven't locked down a house yet. So it's a lot going on in the Knox household. And today's episode kind of actually relates to that. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I want to read to you an entry, if you can see, from my journal. This is my gorgeous journal that I got on Etsy. I will link the store owner below because I'm obsessed with this leather cover. I have been self-coaching a lot recently. Now, self-coaching, if you don't know what that means, it's essentially a form of journaling where you journal about your thoughts, your fears, whatever's going on in your life, the results you are or aren't getting in your life or your business, and you simply coach yourself through them. It's been so monumentally important in my journey, scaling my business from $28,000 in my first year to $100,000 in my second to $1 million by my fifth year. And it's really helped me see, that I am not a victim of my circumstances, that I have a lot more power and control than I may give myself credit for, and that I am not fixed. I am not fixed in time. I am not fixed with this current set of abilities that I have. I am able to grow and learn and change and evolve and transform. And so I really wanted to read it to you today because I just want it to be a reminder that you can do the same. You can hit any money goal you want. You can hit any business goal you want. You can hit any debt payoff goal, take home pay goal, any money goal that you want. But in order to hit those goals, you're inevitably going to have to transform. You're going to have to transform the way you think. You're going to have to transform the things you do. You're going to have to transform the way you feel about money. And I wanted to share this as an example for how that transformation looks. Now, for me, what I'm going to share with you today isn't necessarily about money, but it's about something that's very challenging for me. And so if you're listening to this, and if money is very challenging for you, I hope that you can take this journal entry that I'm going to read out loud to you and apply it to how you may self-coach in your money practice. I recently, inside Small Business Money School, did a how to self-coach live. It was a special live that we added. So if you're in Small Business Money School, go watch that live. It is so good. It is so good. But I wanted to give you all a taste on the podcast as well of what self-coaching looks like in practice. Now, before I dive into the episode, I'm going to ask that you please leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment if you're listening on Spotify, rate and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. I love to see what is landing with you, what's not landing with you, what follow-up questions you have, and it really helps this podcast grow and reach other people who may find it useful. So I'm going to please ask you to subscribe and comment or rate and review. And let's dive in. Let's dive into today's topic. I have a very challenging relationship with administrative work. And a lot of times my friends are surprised when I say that because they look at me and they're like, Gina, you're so put together, or, your business is so organized, all of that stuff. And they don't know that behind the scenes, I am very administratively challenged. And my executive assistant recently decided to move on. So I'm kind of in between executive assistants right now. And I'm really feeling the confrontation of I need to have admin locked down, especially because I'm about to move, right? I'm moving, and that means a lot of administrative stuff on the business side. Am I going to open a new LLC in California? Am I going to do a foreign registered LLC, whatever that is? Am I going to move that stuff over? Am I going to move all my life? What school is my daughter going to go to? There's the doctors, like I have to have a whole new set of doctors. There's just so much admin that's going to be coming into my life in the next few weeks and months. And I really struggle with it. So I want to read to you my self-coaching, and then I want you to apply this to what you might think about money. All right. So I wrote, I want to change my relationship with admin work, follow up, and follow through. For years, I've told myself, quote, I'm bad at admin. That is a sentence I've repeated over and over and over again. So let's pause for a second. Notice how I'm saying it's not the truth. I'm not saying it's empirically true that I am bad at admin. I'm even writing, it's a sentence that I have repeated over and over. You may have repeated, I'm bad at money, or I'm bad at budgeting, or I'm bad at saving, or I'm bad at sales, or I'm bad at maintaining profit, right? What are the sentences that you're repeating to yourself over and over? Okay, let's continue. Then I write, where do you think that came from? Question mark. In my self-coaching practice, I love to act as an interrogator. I ask myself questions in my journal as a third party, and then I answer as me. So where do you think that came from, Gina? I don't think I thought this in high school or college. Maybe it started in my professional career? Question mark. I remember redacted name from Intuit, an old manager, telling me something like, hey, if you're not going to hit the deadline or if you need a little help, just communicate it. Because at the time I feel like in my professional life, I was going through a bit of avoidance and I was not telling my managers what was going on, and then I was missing deadlines. So I think it's so interesting. When I sat down to do this journal entry, I would have never thought, oh, it's because of that manager, that conversation that I had with my manager 10 years ago. But it came out, right? That memory popped up because I asked myself a question. Where did that come from? Let's continue. Maybe also I've had a terrible system for admin. Whenever I do it, it's ad hoc and it derails my other tasks. What is the cause of this behavior, Gina? Answer. I think I say, I'm so bad at admin after the fact, but I'm not 100% sure of the thought that creates that behavior. So I'm admitting that I'm like, I know I say that thought after I do admin, but I'm not sure what's causing the behavior to begin with. And then I write out a model, a self-coaching model, CTFAR. So circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. This is the self-coaching model that's taught by Brooke Castillo. I will link her intro guide to it below in the show notes. But circumstance, an admin task presents itself. Thought, I can't do this right now. Feeling, overwhelm. Action, and this is kind of in regards to whatever the admin task is. I don't text back. I avoid. I worry about avoiding. I don't open the mail. I work on something else instead. Result, I don't do admin. So isn't that an interesting model? The circumstance is that, hey, an admin task pops up, which it does for everybody. My thought is immediately, no, I can't do this right now. So I feel overwhelmed and then I avoid the task, and then I worry about avoiding the task. And the result is I don't do it right now, right? I just move on and worry about something else. And then I asked myself, okay, Gina, what would someone who is great at admin do? And I wrote a list. They would create systems, they would block time on their calendar, they would keep records of the work that was done, they would look ahead at predictable work and schedule it. They would have a standard way to manage unpredictable things that pop up. They would respond within set working hours. Gina, do you do any of this? Answer, half-assed and or not at all, or not all of those things. Sometimes I keep records, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I create systems, sometimes I don't, etc. Gina, are you capable of doing all of those things? Absolutely. Okay, Gina, so why aren't you doing it? And my answer is because I thought it was just my personality. Ding, ding, ding. That's the money. That's the money right there. I thought being bad at admin was just a personality trait. So this is so funny. Let's go back to CTFAR, right? The circumstance is a fact. It's a fact that you can argue in a court of law. The thought is your interpretation of that fact. Okay. So I thought it was a fact that ingrained somewhere in my DNA was the personality that I am bad at admin. And that's not literally a fact. That is an interpretation of past behavior. So then I asked myself, Gina, can you set aside time to put some of this stuff together? And I said, yeah, next week. And then I go, okay, Gina, you might not be great at this right away, or this quarter, or even this year, but you can learn this skill. And the amazing thing about you is that you're so smart. You take action fast, and you're really good at building new beliefs and improving yourself. You're so capable of doing this. XOXO, your inner self. So I left myself with a little pep talk. The little pep talk from the inner voice inside my head who is saying, hey girl, you know what? I know you may not be good at this now, and I know you might not even be good at this soon, but I know you're capable of being good at this. I know this is not a personality trait that you're stuck with for the rest of your life. Now, if I decided to not do this, if I decided, I'm not going to do the self-coaching thing at all, if I decided that I, didn't think it was possible for somebody to change, then I would be stuck with this for the rest of my life. And I want you to think the same about you. You can decide that being bad at money is something that you are, it's coded in your DNA, which is like literally not true, but you can decide it's coded into your DNA. You can decide that your financial results are your personality. You can decide that they are fixed, that they are not flexible, that they are unchanging, and that you are a victim to your circumstances. Or you can decide none of this is fixed. I am capable of change. I am capable of growth. I am capable of doing things that are hard for me right now. And I don't have to be a victim to this anymore. So for me, it's admin. And it may sound so stupid and so little. And you may be listening to this and you may be like, Gina, why don't you just hire another EA? Why don't you just hire someone to do admin for you? Because that's not the point. I'm still gonna hire someone to do admin for me, but I will be a much better and more efficient boss when I believe I'm good at admin myself. Furthermore, I think it can be very tricky when you hire someone to do something for you and you're terrified of them quitting because you don't know how to do it yourself. I like the feeling of knowing that I love having my team members. I love hiring the best people, but if they do leave, which they will, it's unlikely that my team is going to stay with me for the next 30 years. I pride myself knowing that I'm not dependent on them staying in my business for me to be successful. So when I do this kind of work, it's not because I'm saying that you should never hire out. It's not because I'm saying that you should never outsource or that you should never get an expert opinion. But what I am saying is that your thoughts about money are not your personality, just like my thoughts about admin are not mine. So I hope that this is helpful. I hope it gives you a little insight into how I self-coach. I'm really using a lot of third-party perspective. I kind of come at it as the compassionate third-party observer, saying, hey girl, what's going on? What's going on? Why are you thinking this way? It's possible for you to do this. And pushing myself to answer every question that my brain gives me. I think a lot of time what happens is when we feel fear or when we feel stuck, it's simply because we're not answering the questions that our brain is giving us. Hey, why are you bad at admin? That could be interpreted in one of two ways. Oh, Gina, why are you so bad at admin? Versus, no, actually, Gina, why are you bad at admin? Let's explore that. Let's identify, because it's not an unlearnable skill. I could say, hey, why are you doing this? Why do you keep doing this behavior? You're so stupid. You're so stuck. You're so fixed. Or I could say, hey, why are you doing this behavior? What's going on? Let's unearth what's underneath there. When you answer all the questions that your brain gives you, you will feel so much more at peace. All right? Okay. This is a short one, but hopefully a good one. I will see you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.